Just show you some in-game versus actual people. This might be a boring map, hopefully not. So first and foremost, I can aim with this thing. And that's one of the most important parts. Here's a look at the mouse. You can see that it's quite wide up the front here, and the back looks like it's similar, but when it's in your hand, it actually feels like it's really thin back here. And that's one of my only complaints about this, really. It just feels a little uncomfortable, but it is a small mouse, roughly G302 size. As you can see there. But it's pretty good shape. It took me a little while to get used to it, but now that I'm using it a lot, I'm loving it. So this is a mouse you can palm grip. It has the height on it. This is where the thumb goes, just along the side there. That's where the fingers go. So you've got plenty of space, no issues. And the thumb buttons over here, they're actually quite easy to hit. The mouse cable is braided. It doesn't seem to get in my way too much. It's actually a bit stiff, and the other problem is that it does seem to scrape. I don't know if you can hear that, but it does scrape the mouse pad, which might wear it out. I'm not sure yet. So that's a minor issue, but still something that needs to be said. I knew he was going to look over. So the main point here is that I'm just loving playing with this mouse. It feels good in the hand. The textures are the best part of this. I'm loving this top texture. I'm not really a fan of the ribbed sides, but you know, they're not a deal breaker, like they still feel good enough. I just prefer smoother material. Let's get up on some high ground. I haven't had any issues with small movements. You can see that it's quite smooth. It's detecting them nicely. So even fully zoomed in at FOV 1, you can still aim this. This is as slow as I can move it. So it's pixel by pixel almost. DPI light on the back here is a nice touch. Blue for the max. No light when it's set to the lowest. Red light when it's second. Green third. Blue 4. And same thing with the profile switch. I won't do this because I don't want to change profile. The mouse wheel on this is quite comfortable. It's got a good scroll on it. It's not quite as good as its bigger brother here. Like that's just a really nice mouse wheel. This upper coating is just brilliant. I wish we could actually change the colors in this so I could match it up with all the others. And this is the old Razor style rubber where it looks a bit cheap and the light does fade out a bit here. So it does look a bit cheap up the top, but you know, it's not a big deal. So the balance on this mouse feels good. It might be a little bit weighted to the front, but as I said, like I'm just enjoying using it, so it's clearly not an issue. It's chasing with some rocket jumps. I never expected. I think the materials on this mouse are one of the major selling points for me. Just the fact that it feels so much better in the hand than every other mouse that I own right now. So when you pick up Logitech, Razer, SteelSeries and all them, they don't feel like they're solid mice. Like after you pick up this one, the rest really do feel flimsy. Weight wise, it feels very similar to the G302, which is surprising because this has a lot of really heavy materials on it. So I don't know how they've kept the weight down. It does actually feel maybe a little more weighted, but I haven't had a problem with that. I actually quite like the weight. They might be able to go a bit lighter, but again, like I just really enjoy using this mouse now that I've become used to it. There's another thing with lateral movement. The G302 is really light, moving left and right. The Abyssus is slightly heavier, but still quite light. And this one feels heavier, even though they're all about the same sort of weight. The actual movement left and right feels a lot different. This one's definitely more solid, heavier. So it depends what you like. And I think other than the rib texture, I mean, this is a cool looking mouse. Just a good shape, good design. Just has 4 feet. but they glide really nicely over the pad. Going back to the shape, it does have an angled edge here, which is a bit like the Razer Abyssus 2014, but it's not uncomfortable at all to hold. I mean, this just fits in the hand nicely. This is it next to the Death Adder, so you can see it's definitely a small mouse. It's a fair bit shorter. Rail, jump off. So for a cheap mouse and a newbie to the market, I mean, this is amazing. It's actually my new favorite mouse over the G302, which I never thought I'd say. But it's not perfect. I'm going to show you some issues. The software isn't the best, but it's not bad either. Like, there are just a few things that are just a bit weird with it, and you'll get a few little problems. That might also be because I have so many mice plugged in at the moment too. But the issues are very minor. I think if you're prepared to put in a little bit of work and just deal with a few little problems, and spend the time getting used to this, just the shape and all that, I think it'll be a worthwhile mouse to invest in. And while I prefer some of the shapes on the G302, this just feels so much better in the hand. Okay, so here's a quick look at the software. It does let you bind the side 3 buttons to some pretty cool things. You got the advanced functions of play sound, launch program, open file, open directory, multimedia functions, play, pause, stop, previous, next, volume up, down, etc. So the software is good in that regard. You've got the 3 polling rates, and also only 4 DPI settings, so you can't customize that. You also have the LED control, you can turn it off or have it in a breathing mode. So here's a quick rattle test just to test the build quality. This is the G302, and here's the V300. So you hear that the G302 rattles. This is how the click sound on the G302, click sound on the V300. I actually prefer the clicks and just the feel of this mouse by far over the G302. This just feels kind of flimsy, whereas this is just nice and solid and just fits your hand so well. You've got the grooves down on the buttons there. I don't know if you can see it on camera too well. There you go. Those are really comfortable. This slightly has it, but nowhere near as good. And there's a top-down size comparison. There's a height comparison. So they look very similar. So as far as small mice goes, these are 2 very good options. This is a bit of a dark horse though, because it will take some getting used to. It doesn't have awesome software and like that. The G302 definitely has some advantages. But just overall, I find myself wanting to use this mouse all the time now. Just because of the textures, having the extra button, the feel, like the way it's so solid. I can aim really well with it and all that, and now that I'm used to it, like, it does feel very comfortable in the hand. So I'm going to recommend this with a really high score, as you see on the report card. And just quickly, it is a new report card design. I've changed my scoring method. But, you know, I'll always tell you if a mouse is better than the other one or not, or if you need to worry. Now, I rated the Razer Abyssus 90%, but that was by the old report card. I don't think it would actually get that anymore. This is probably the highest rated mouse so far, so this is what I recommend. Just one last thing on this mouse, it does have a slight delay on the sensor, and that's a problem with this company because the V900 is really bad for it. You can really feel the delay. It feels like input lag. So I'm guessing that they've got mouse smoothing on inside the processor or something like that. So if they switch that off, it should be fine. This mouse does have it to some degree, but it's barely noticeable. It was only when someone else pointed it out that I thought, oh wow, it is there. So up until then, I thought, no, it's a perfect mouse, it's fine. So just be aware of that. This mouse is amazing, but it does have some issues. It's not perfect. That said, it's still my favorite mouse at the moment, and that's why I'm going to continue using it. Even over the G302, even though it has a crisper sensor in it. And for any readers out there of modern fantasy, I do have a free ebook to download of my series, The Heroes Fall. Just follow the links below to Smashwords or the main website and grab your copy too. Set in World War IV, crazy battles, lots of superpowers, all the epic stuff. Go check it out. Thanks for watching, and of course, if you have any questions or comments, just leave them below and I will get back to you as soon as possible.